There are works of art that cannot simply be watched. There are films that were never meant to entertain, but to wound, to disgust, to leave a scar on the viewer's mind. Salò, or the 120 Days of Sodom, the final film of Pier Paolo Pasolini, is one of those works. Shot in 1975, shortly before his mysterious death, it has been described as the most extreme film in the history of cinema. A film in which the human body is stripped of dignity, turned into an object, a commodity, and finally, waste. It is not pornography. It is not sadism for its own sake. It is a cold, merciless allegory about power and dehumanization. In the 1970s, Pier Paolo Pasolini was a controversial, isolated intellectual. He denounced consumerism as a new form of dictatorship, more seductive and more dangerous than fascism itself. In his eyes, this modern power entered homes, desires, and even bodies, turning everything into merchandise. To translate this into images, Pasolini drew inspiration from the scandalous novel by the Marquis de Sade, The 120 Days of Sodom. But he set his story not in 18th century France, instead in Italy, during the final days of the fascist Republic of Salò. What resulted was not a historical drama, but a symbolic representation of the complete annihilation of human beings. The film begins with four men of power: a duke, a bishop, a magistrate, and a president. They symbolize aristocracy, religion, law, and politics. Together, they kidnap a group of young men and women, locking them inside a fortified villa guarded by soldiers. Here, they lay down their rules: total obedience, severe punishment for disobedience, and a complete ban on affection or intimacy. The story unfolds in four parts, modeled after Dante's Inferno. In the antechamber of hell, the youths are stripped naked, numbered, and robbed of their identities. Their fate is written in bureaucratic articles as if horror itself had become law. In the circle of manias, four women, former prostitutes, tell erotic stories from their past. Each tale becomes a script. The four men force the youths to reenact them. Pleasure is replaced by humiliation, intimacy by domination. In the circle of shit, degradation becomes physical, tangible. The infamous banquet scene forces the youths to consume excrement, served as though it were fine cuisine, a grotesque parody of consumption, turning the body into waste. Finally, in the circle of blood, the story reaches its brutal conclusion. The youths deemed rebellious or no longer useful are tortured and executed. Eyes gouged out, tongues cut off, flesh burned and mutilated. All of it carried out in a courtyard, while the four men watch from a distance through binoculars, as if attending a spectacle. Inside the villa, they dance a waltz. Many images in Salò are infamous for their shocking impact. The initial stripping of the youths, reduced to naked numbers, the forced betrayals, where survival depends on denouncing a companion, the banquet of excrement, transforming disgust into ritual, the mockery of religion and family, including a sacrilegious marriage between a man of power and a boy, complete with a blasphemous blessing, and the final courtyard sequence where one by one the bodies are tortured and destroyed while the rulers watch with cold satisfaction. Pasolini does not soften the blow. He offers no relief, no catharsis. Everything is presented with clinical detachment, long takes, static shots, silence broken only by the sounds inside the villa. The film becomes unbearable, not because it is graphic for its own sake, but because of the relentless, methodical way in which humanity is stripped away. Behind these images lies a precise design. The four men are not simply sadists, they are symbols, embodiments of the powers that govern society: politics, religion, law, aristocracy. Their cruelty is not impulsive, it is administrative. Every act of violence is justified, regulated, normalized. Pasolini warns us, evil does not arrive as chaos, it arrives as order, as bureaucracy, as a system. Fascism in this reading is not only a regime of the past, it is a paradigm that returns whenever power seizes bodies and turns people into objects. The banquet of excrement is a metaphor for consumerism. What the system feeds us, even if it is filth, we consume with a smile, dressed as luxury. And the final tortures, watched through binoculars, speak of voyeurism, of our own complicity as spectators. Because suffering in the modern world has become entertainment. Power has a dark allure. Those who wield it find themselves transformed, as if something inside them shatters. Whoever holds absolute authority inevitably succumbs to the temptation to dominate, to bend others to their will. And in that domination, slowly, insidiously, every trace of humanity is erased. Those under their control become mere objects, tools to be exploited. Corruption becomes unavoidable, cruelty almost natural, and the very soul of the one in power darkens, turning them into a monster that annihilates what was once life and dignity. Salò was censored, banned, even prosecuted. Many dismissed it as obscene, unwatchable, pornographic. But beyond its extremity, it remains a radical act of resistance, a prophecy of a society transformed into a machine that devours its own humanity. In Salò, there are no heroes, no hope, no salvation. Every gesture of tenderness is crushed. Every attempt at solidarity is destroyed. The only moment of human connection, two young soldiers dancing together in the final scene, means nothing in the face of the system's machinery. And that, precisely, is why the film is unforgettable. Not because it is enjoyable, but because it forces us to stare into the abyss. Pier Paolo Pasolini died shortly after completing this film, in circumstances never fully explained. As if Salò was meant to be his final testament, a cruel, painful, and necessary testament, to remind us that when power seizes our bodies, when desire and intimacy are reduced to merchandise, even violence, even death can become spectacle. Salò, or the 120 Days of Sodom, is not a film you simply watch. It is a film that lingers inside you like an open wound, a wound that forces us not to look away. If you've stayed with me until now, thank you. It means you endured this difficult journey, and perhaps, like Pasolini himself, you feel the need to look beyond appearances. If this video left you with something to reflect on, I invite you to leave a like, to subscribe to the channel, and to turn on notifications so you won't miss the next exploration. And I want to hear your thoughts. Would you be able to watch Salò until the end? Do you believe a film like this can still serve a purpose today? Share your reflections in the comments, because this channel is not just narration, it is also dialogue. I am Cultural Archives, and this was the most extreme film of Pier Paolo Pasolini. Until the next darkness.